of the last remaining Mayan theme theaters left in the United States. We're going to head under Salinas Bridge, named after Lake Tejano singer Selena Quintanilla. She is photographed on this bridge, as well as Jennifer Lopez, who played her in the movie Selena. Also partially filmed right up there. In the beige building over here on the right, that's the Mocara Hotel now, but it used to be the home of the L. Frank Cavalry. From 1901 to 1923, they outfitted Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders, as well as Mexican revolutionary Francisco Pancho Villa. And right before World War I, they provided boots, saddles, and harnesses for the United States Army. And on the left is La Mansión del Rio, or Mansion on the River. It used to be the site of the St. Mary's School for Boys back in 1853. Then it was the St. Mary's Academy, then the St. Mary's Law School. In 1966, two former students from the law school purchased the building. They remodeled it, opened it up for Hemisphere in 1968. Still has some of the original artifacts from the boys' school in the lobby and in the lounge. Now we're heading under the Navarro Street Bridge. When we get off from under this bridge, I'm going to show you a really cool optical illusion. So we get off from under the bridge, everyone take a look up and to the left. Where once stood a 26-story, three-dimensional building will have been replaced by a 26-story, two-dimensional wall that looks like it might fall right down on top of you. Take a look up and to the left. And that's the Knicks Hospital right there. It was built in 1930. It's one of the country's first full-service, fully air-conditioned hospitals. And everything from ambulance service to daycare to indoor parking. Carol Burnett was born in that hospital, as well as Oliver North. This part of the river here is known as South Bank. This is where you're going to find a lot of the nightlife on the Riverwalk. Relatively quiet now. Give it another 6 or 7 hours. People will be lined up on the sides of the river screaming at every boat that goes by, throwing things on the boat drivers. I don't recommend that. That's why I work the early shift. Come back here and throw things on boat drivers. All right, in front of us is the Hyatt Regency. That was built in 1981. And the Alamo is just on the other side of the Hyatt. If you're interested in going, this is a great way to get there. If we come around the bend, take a look to the left, you'll see these glass doors with the headers that read Paseo del Alamo. And that's the passageway to the Alamo. Quickest way to get there from the river level. And it's a beautiful walk. The river goes through the building. You go through those doors, you walk through a series of waterfalls and gardens. When you get to the top, it puts you right across the street from the front of the Alamo. Now, an interesting side note, when the Hyatt Regency was being designed, it had to meet strict height requirements. It wasn't allowed to cast a shadow on the Alamo at sunset. This building coming up on the right, this is the Casino Club building. It was opened in 1927. It used to be a German social club that later became apartments. There was a famous author that lived there by the name of Alex Haley. He wrote a lot of books that became movies. Probably most notably was Roots. He lived there. Also actor Tommy Lee Jones lived in that building for just a little while. Now we're getting into my favorite part of the Riverwalk. This is River Square. This is where you're going to find the majority of the restaurants, all the tantalizing aromas. Now we also offer a dining boat service. We can go to any one of these restaurants and set that up. You can get a breakfast boat, lunch, dinner. If you just want cocktails, you can get a cocktail cruise. It was on hold for a while. It's finally back. Nice way to enjoy the Riverwalk. Now, the Riverwalk first opened in 1941. It didn't look a whole lot like this. It was more of a city park. A place to take the family out and have a picnic. But the father and designer of the Riverwalk, Robert H.H. Hugman, he had a different vision for his design, so he put his office here in the building on the right. That's the Clifford Building. Hugman's name is written above the first floor. And he put his office there to prove to everyone that a business could thrive on the Riverwalk. That he wasn't afraid of flooding. And people thought he was crazy at first. It took a few years. More of the businesses started to follow suit. There's a restaurant over here on the right is Casa Rio, the first restaurant on the Riverwalk. They opened the doors in 1946. They were the first ones to do the riverboat tours, as well as the dining boats. They're also going to celebrate their 77th anniversary next month. Now this part of the river that we've been on, this is all the natural flow of the river. It's a natural horseshoe bend in the river. We're going to be leaving the natural flow to enter into a man-made part. This is the bottom of the horseshoe. There where we are. And this part of the river that we're entering was built in the 1960s for Hemisphere. Now, if you're not familiar with what Hemisphere was, it was kind of like the World's Fair. In San Antonio in 1968, we had 7 million people coming to town for Hemisphere over the course of 6 months. So they built this part so people could take river taxis from the natural flow of the river to get to the convention center. That's where we're headed right now. And people loved the Riverwalk so much during the Hemisphere, they kept coming back, bringing their families. Tourism really started to grow as a result of the Hemisphere of 1968. It kind of put us on the map. Now, if you ever want to move to San Antonio, if you live here already, want to open up a business, we have the Chamber of Commerce on the left. We have all kinds of information for you. This message is brought to you by the Chamber of Commerce. Now, since this is a man-made part of the river, there's no natural flow to it. This part of the river is lined with concrete. The rest of the river has a mud bottom. But there are still a whole lot of little critters that live here that don't realize that this is man-made. We have tilapia, perch, catfish, sunfish, crawfish, a lot of snakes in there. We got turtles too. Those are nice. So they built this waterfall that's coming up on the right. Now for some reason the waterfall's not been switched on today. Just imagine water cascading onto those rocks. The waterfall's there to keep the water flowing, keep it filtered and aerated, keep all those little critters alive in the well. Today it's not doing any of those things. So, just to the right here, over the wall through the clearing, you'll see a tower. That looks like the Jetsons' house up there. That's the Tower of the Americas. That was the centerpiece of the Hemisphere of 1968. It's also the second tallest freestanding tower in the United States. And a second only to the Stratosphere in Las Vegas. We're actually 16 feet taller than the Space Needle in Seattle. Stratosphere is 1,000 feet tall, ours is 750 feet. Stratosphere has some sort of ride or roller coaster, bungee jump or something on theirs. We have a restaurant on ours that spins once every hour. Not quite as fast as a roller coaster. Has anyone been up in the tower here? I went up there for the first time. It's probably about 7 or 8 months ago now. I went with another boat driver. You might as well see what we're talking about every day. They take your picture now in front of a green screen before you go up the elevator. They take your picture, you go up and look around. When you come back down, they have your pictures waiting for you, and they superimpose you in front of the Alamo. They put you on one of these boats. There's another one in front of the tower. Pretty much take care of your entire vacation. One fell swoop. My buddy was wearing a green sweatshirt. Come back down, we get the pictures of me standing next to this floating head by the Alamo. Give us the pictures for half price. Keep that in mind. It's time to go. Now we're headed to the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. Named after the first Latino American who was elected to the House of Representatives. We did that back in 1961. And they've just added a few 100,000 square feet to the convention center. It's now well over 1 million square feet. It's one of the largest and most modern in the country. And companies and organizations love to have the conventions here. We actually have bookings through 2020. It's a popular place. Coming up on the left is the Lila Cockrell Theater, named after the first female mayor in San Antonio. She served 4 terms from the 1980s to the 1990s. There's also a large mosaic right above the theater. We're going to turn the boat around here. When we come back out, I'll tell you all about that mosaic. Now we're going to spin around underneath this glass bridge. Normally we'd be allowed to go around that island in front of us, but not too long ago one of our drivers went crashing into one of the rails back there, leaving a pile of twisted metal underneath the water. Got a lot of new drivers on the river. But we are forbidden to go back there until that's cleared away. You're not missing much, just a quick turnaround for the boats, but there is a walkway back there underneath the convention center that'll take you to the tower, it'll take you to Hemisphere Park, and to the Institute of Texan Cultures. Looking to walk to any of those places, you definitely still can. You know, I was here the day it happened, but no one ever owned up to it. Yeah, it could have been when the park was. It could have been me, I promise. I remember the radio call. Someone tried to go through there.
Oh, so good. Yeah. Oh my God, feels so good for this.
Very well good.
Much
So now we have a big mosaic coming up on the right. And this mosaic was a gift from artist Juan O'Gorman in Hemisphere of 1968. It's called The Confluence of Civilization. Now if you look on either side of the mosaic, you'll see that it depicts two civilizations coming through time to meet in the middle. There's a family in the middle there. That family is known as the family of the future. Apparently the future is clothing optional. It does show it. Make sure there's a boat around the corners. Good. We have a new sculpture coming up on the right. It's kind of blocked by the trees right now, but we'll get a good view here in a second. It just been unveiled in the last 18 months or so. It's called Stargazer. It's done by an artist named Pedro Reyes from Mexico City. Made almost entirely out of volcanic rock. With the exception of the star of the figure's hand, that's made of carved marble. Has everyone had a chance to get to the shops at River Center? If you haven't, I don't want to ruin the surprise for you, but it's a mall. It's not like every other mall you've ever been to, but it sits on the banks of a river. I guess that makes it kind of special. We're headed to the River Center Mall Lagoon. And there's a demand for purple things that I am unaware of. It's very popular. Over here to the right, you'll see tourists in their natural habitat. One of our ticket locations here. We've got 3 total. They've also opened up at Dave & Buster's at the mall. We've got this Margaritaville over here to the left. They've opened up Legoland and an aquarium called Sea Life. We've got some good things going on at the mall. There's also a new section of the river that we won't cover on the tour. It's an extra 1.2 miles. It's been added in the last 14 years. Called the Museum Reach. It opened May 30th of 2009. Now you can still get there by boat, just not one of these boats. You have to take one of our Rio shuttles. If you're not familiar with the Rio shuttles, they look exactly like these boats, except it says shuttle on it. Now if you're looking to get from place to place on the river and not have somebody tell you about everything, that's the way to do it. Catch them at any one of our 15 Rio shuttle stops scattered throughout the river. They'll have a blue sign with a number on it. They'll pick you up there. They'll take you through a lock. You'll raise 9 feet. And out to the Pearl Brewery, which is now the Hotel Emma. A lot of different shops and restaurants up there. They do a farmer's market on the weekends. Also the San Antonio Museum of Art and the VFW, Post 76, the oldest VFW post in Texas, right there on the river and open to the public. Check out the Museum Reach if you get a chance. And just to the left here, over the mall, is the Marriott River Center. That was built in 1988 when the rest of the mall was built. And the reason I pointed out, before it was there was another hotel there. It was the Fairmount Hotel, built in 1905. Now in San Antonio, we don't like to tear down any of our old. And just up to the right here, it'll be through the trees up at street level. You'll see the top of the church steeple. And that St. Joseph's Catholic Church up there was built in 1868. And it was built by German settlers. Now back in the 1800s, this whole area was hugely populated by Germans. And they wanted to have a church where they could have Mass in their own language. So they built themselves a church. Now to this day, every last Sunday of the month, they do all the services completely in German. They have a choir that comes in by the name of Liederkreis. They sing all the hymns in German as well. So that's going to be next Sunday. So if you're still in town and you're yearning for a German sermon, Check it out. That is out to the left here. After this last big tree, you'll see the Hilton Palacio del Rio, or Palace on the River. I'll give you a little bit of history behind that hotel up there. So 1968, we had the World's Fair, the Hemisphere thing going on. 7 million people coming to town for it. We didn't have a whole lot of places to put them. That hotel was booked solid 14 months before Hemisphere. All 500 rooms were completely booked. Now the big problem with that is there was no hotel, there was just an empty space. So they needed to get a hotel booked very quickly. What they did is they called on a graduate from Texas A&M University by the name of H.B. Zachary. How he did it is about 8 miles south of here. He constructed every room, complete with the carpet on the floors, pictures on the walls, soaps in the dishes, towels on the racks, Bibles in the drawers. The beds were made. They loaded those rooms on flatbed trucks, drove into town, hoisted them up by crane, and stacked them one on top of another like Lego blocks. Now, we're about to come in front of the building here. It's going to be on the left. When we do, take a look past the first 4 floors. You'll see that every room after that is identical in dimension. And this building is also in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the fastest constructed modular building of its size. They completed the entire project in just 202 working days. And they took weekends off, so it was about 9 months' time. When they finished, it was just 3 days before Hemisphere. A really close call. Now, if you look up at each of those rooms up there to the left, you'll see that the walls, the floors, the ceilings, they're all solid concrete. They say that it's soundproof, fireproof, waterproof, explosion-proof. They really tested that last one. But that is a very sturdy building. I'm going to show you. Now, the next section of the river we're about to get into, just after this bridge coming up, is an area known as La Villita, or Little Village. And this area was settled by the Spanish soldiers and their families back in the 1700s. And if you go up to street level here, nice little art galleries and boutiques. Good place to shop up there. And 2 restaurants coming up on the left. Both of those used to be German homes back in the 1850s. They were the homes of the Dashiell and Bambach families. As we come around the bend, we'll be getting into the Artisan Theater. It's an open-air theater. It seats 800 people. It's named after Edwin P. Artisan. He was the chief engineer of the Works Project Administration that completed the Riverwalk back in 1941. So we head through the theater. Take a look to the right at the stage. You might recognize it from Miss Congeniality. We had Sandra Bullock up there dancing around in a bathing suit. Also, 5 bronze bells right above the stage. Each one of them represents one of the 5 Spanish missions in San Antonio. Now we're heading under Rosita's Bridge. Rosita Fernandez played on that stage for 26 years in the show Fiesta Noche del Rio, which is still in production today. They just finished season number 66 last month. They play every Friday and Saturday night here in the summer. Over here to the right is the Briscoe Western Art Museum that just recently opened. A lot of different artwork showing the history of the West, as well as an interactive diorama, the Battle of the Alamo, Aunt Julia's saddle, and Santa Anna's sword are on display in there. Now we're going to be heading under the Presses Street Bridge coming up. This is a solid iron bridge built in the 1890s. It's called an iron ornamental bridge, and there are 10 of these left in the United States. 3 are on the San Antonio River. Now this one sits pretty low, so we're going to try and steer right through the middle of it. You might think you're going to hit your head on it, but trust me, if you don't stand up, you'll be fine. I, on the other hand, may not fare as well. We'll go right through the middle here. Looks like we have a wedding going on up ahead on the right. There's a small island up here with an iron sculpture on it. The sculpture is known as Father Massenet's Table. That was a gift from artist Rolando Briseño in 1991. Put there to commemorate the first Catholic Mass that took place in San Antonio on June 13th, 1691. Take a close look at the island. You see it's completely comprised of that cypress tree's root system. And it's also a heart-shaped island. It's known as Marriage Island. We have over 300 weddings that take place there every year. We had 4 last Saturday, 2 on Sunday. On the other side of the bridge, we have Divorce Island. get busier island. Now this part of the river is actually known as Old Mill Crossing. Back in the 1800s, Nat Lewis had his mill on the right bank. He would grind grain for the settlers. And this was also a very shallow part of the river. Settlers could cross, they'd water their horses. Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders used to train right in this area. On the right we have the West End Hotel. It was built in 1999. It's a really new addition to the Riverwalk. Surrounded by all these older buildings, oh, just past the West End there. On the right there's a darker red brick building. That used to be the San Antonio Drug Company from 1919 to 1963. Now it's the case of a planter, lamppost, and bench. Everything you see in the Horseshoe Bend is pretty much Hugman's design. Now we didn't design this walkway over here on the right. That's fairly new. It's been there about 16 years. That was a gift from the Drury Plaza Hotel. It's an 850-foot walkway that connects floodgates 3 and 4. And you can walk all the way around the horseshoe. And over here to the left, through the trees, kind of hard to see anything back there, but it's main plaza. Established in 1731 by Spanish settlers from the Canary Islands. It used to be the heart of the city. There's also San Fernando Cathedral back there, built in 1739. Still houses some of the remains of the heroes from the Battle of the Alamo. Now people always think of the San Antonio River as just a small river, where it's man-made, doesn't flow very fast, but it actually starts just about 6 miles north of here on the campus of Incarnate Word University. And it comes up through springs from an underground lake known as the Edwards Aquifer. Flows through the zoo, through downtown, goes about 230 miles southeast of here, where it meets up with the Guadalupe River and flows out to the Gulf of Mexico. Now you see that big tree right in front of us? That's the oldest and largest cypress tree in San Antonio. It's over 350 years old, over 9 stories tall. Also known as the sniper tree. Back in 1835, there was a Texas patriot by the name of Ben Milam. He was staying in the Vermende Palace, which was right behind us, and he was shot by a sniper from that tree right there. Jeez. And now we're going under floodgate 3. This one comes down like a guillotine.
So how many
years? Under random testing.
Wow, that's a long time.
Now it takes about 15 minutes for that to come down completely. It does weigh 3 tons.
1680 maybe?
Coming up on the right is the Esquire Tavern. That was the first bar on the Riverwalk. They opened the doors in 1933. And they opened the day after Prohibition ended. Pretty much just took down the barbershop pole and it was business as usual. They say it was a speakeasy before that. Also has the longest wooden bar in Texas at 108 feet long. And here on the left is the Drury Inn and Suites. That used to be the City Public Service Building back in 1921. To give you an idea of the severity of that flood, if you look at the top of the first floor windows, right where the 3 shields are, that's how high the flood of 1921 reached. It was a major flood. It's a great example, though, of how we like to take an old building, give it a second chance at a new life here in San Antonio. Try not to tear anything down if we can help it. But that does just about take us to the end of the tour. We're almost back where we started. You're on the boat here on the right side. I have to let you off on the left. But make sure you take a look around your seats. Make sure you haven't forgotten anything. Well, we had a great time on the tour. Just so you know, tipping is allowed. It's accepted. It's greatly appreciated by our drivers. We also accept Cash App and Venmo if that's more convenient. I'm going to dock the boat here and tie it down. Give me a second to get everything tied and secured before you stand up. I'll let you know when it's safe to stand up and exit. If you got your pictures taken before the tour, they're going to have them here for you to take a look at when you get off the boat. Enjoy the rest of your time here. Have a great weekend. Thanks for coming out to the San Antonio Riverwalk.
Wow, that long.